Let's see what we got here. It looks like it's in a building that might be a service center for trucks. We got a lot of trucks down here. Now looks like Larkin's still open. Yeah, I got multiple trucks on fire, and they're new trucks too. Yeah, it's been good over here. Whatever's good for you. Yeah. Anyone here yet? Oh, just pulling in. Yeah. Yep, it started obviously on the upwind side of the building and it's working its way in. And a steel building like that, it holds in a lot of heat. Aerial tower trying to reach back in there. You got a couple of hand lines that are now in action. Trying to get some reach there. It is exceedingly hot right there, and it's reflecting off the other building too. Chopper 2 to base, are we streaming this live? Okay. All right, I'll talk up until the time they come to us. All right, good afternoon, those of you who are joining our live stream. This is Chris Habermill, CBS. Do we need to refill before the top of the 6? Yeah, we can do the top of the 6 right afterwards. We'll drop into Lewis for fuel. All right. All right. All right, Mark, we're going to need a clean shot, no skid. Coming up here, we're doing it live right now. All right, good afternoon. For those of you who are joining us on the CBS2 live feed here, we are streaming live coverage of a major commercial structure fire in southwest suburban Rockdale, a little bit south of Joliet. See a thick black smoke, which is coming out of a end of a truck company down here. Obviously, there are a lot of new truck tractors, what we call a bobtail, in other words, a brand new business end of a semi-tractor trailer there. And as we come around into the we're been told Dale after we do our live report on TV. So tune into CBS 2 News, and we're going to be doing that in just a couple of minutes. Stand by. Stand by. All right, ready? Up to a second alarm. Yep. Yeah, this is the Polar Service Center at Tank Trailer Repair. Service inspection for all truck and tank makes and models. All right, folks, we're going to be coming back around here, give you a better view here once we get our skid out of the way of what's actually burning down here at the Polar Service Center. This is actually a bunch of semi-tractors that have caught fire. Polar Service Center basically is a truck maintenance and inspection station. They take care of truck trailers, tanker trailers as well. They do inspection and maintenance down here, and something went wrong, obviously, earlier this afternoon. Got a large, deep-seated commercial fire here. And as you can see, we do have a fire stream in action, master stream up over the top of the building. These are metal-clad buildings. They are they hold a lot of heat, and they project a lot of heat. That's very vigorous fire there, so coming over the other side between the two buildings there, you're going to get cooked. So basically, point of vantage here to make the stretch with that aerial tower is over one building, trying to rain it down into the building that's on fire here. One of the problems is that the fire actually began, it appears, or at least is more deeply seated on the upwind side of the building, so the wind is actually driving that fire and that heat energy back into and underneath that metal roof structure there. So it's a very hot fire, it's a deep-seated fire, and it also has diesel fuel, fiberglass, rubber from the tires, very difficult to put out. It's going to be a long operation. They're up to a second alarm level right now, bringing in neighboring companies to help out. Again, this is the Polar Service Center, 132 South Harris Drive, right at the southwest corner of Larkin and Moen, which is a good quarter mile or so, half mile south of I-80, south of Joliet. Now, the good news here is there's no reports of any injuries at this time. The smoke is drifting over the top of Larkin, actually right before it gets down here to 6. So it's closed down south of 80, and numerous fire companies have now staged on the upwind side of this incident. There are hydrants in the area, and the hydrant lay, the run into this building, requires some relay pumping to get the appropriate pressure on the water feeding the aerial tower. So it looks like we do have numerous fire companies that are in the process of helping relay pump down here. And the point of vantage here, we've got a couple of hand lines, some monitor lines that are down low. Fortunately, they're able to take a stand on the upwind side here and trying to get water in there. But because it's a metal-clad building, that metal tends to melt and deform and fall in on the actual fire itself. So it's capturing a lot of that heat energy up underneath. And in order to try and get to the further reaches of this lot, it's kind of a tall order with parts of the building and other truck tractors that are in the way. So we have a very vigorous fire that's going on here in Rockdale. The smoke column, not as vigorous as it once was, not as well involved as it once was, but there are parts here that are still burning there just up underneath the building there. So it's going to be a long operation. It's going to be long afternoon and evening to try and knock this down. First trying to get water onto the seat of the fire, and then the hot spots underneath this building as the steel structure kind of folds in on itself and melts. So we will be here over this fire in Rockdale, a little bit southwest of Larkin and I-80 at the Polar Service Center throughout the afternoon. We will endeavor to bring you more information. You can see one of those semi-tractors burning. The back of the cab there, well involved. The tires are well involved. Also, we have diesel fuel that is burning in there as well. So this is going to be a long operation, and we will be here, and we will bring it to you on our live stream as well as our regularly scheduled newscast. For now, I'm Chris Habermill, CBS 2 News. Thank you for tuning into our live stream, and stay tuned for more updates on this fire as fire suppression continues in Rockdale. Okay, Tracy, top of the 5. Okay. 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Okay. Okay. Okay, we're coming to us out of the open here. Stand by. .30 to the open. Stand by. I'm also going to be talking about that elevated master stream as well over the top of the building. Okay. Well, this is the Polar Service Center. It sits on the southwest corner of Larkin Avenue and Moen, a little bit south of I-80 and south of Joliet. And something obviously went horribly wrong here this afternoon. And we've got a very deep-seated commercial structure fire up to a second alarm now. You can see that the tower ladder's been pressed into service. Their point of vantage is actually using one building as a little bit of a heat break for the apparatus to try and project over the top of that building and get into the seat of the fire there. So volume, velocity, color, density, that all tells us you got a deep-seated fire with a lot of fuel that's down there. Tires, fiberglass, diesel fuel. This is going to be a long afternoon. No one reports of any injuries, and that is good. Chris Habermill, CBS 2 News. Thank you. All right, we'll get back into the stream here as we come around, and Mark will also show where the units are staged on Larkin south of 80. All right. All right, everybody, welcome back to Rockdale. I'm Chris Habermill on CBS 2's Chopper 2, and we've arrived on the scene. Hadn't been here since shortly after this commercial structure fire broke out earlier this afternoon within the last hour. This is at Polar Industries, the Polar Service Center, that is. It's a truck service and maintenance facility. They maintain truck trailers, truck tankers, the tank trailers and what have you. And obviously something went really, really wrong here this afternoon. We've had a very significant fire that continues to burn through a large metal-clad building, and as that metal structure starts to fold in on itself, it's trapping a lot of that heat energy inside there. So we have a very vigorous fire, a very deep-seated fire, a very hot fire. It's got a lot of fuel to burn, fiberglass, rubber from the tires, some diesel fuel, other solvents that may be used in the business here as well. And at least for right now, it looks as though at the second alarm level, we got one aerial tower that has been pressed into action there. And we've got a pumping operation to that aerial tower. And you can see throughout this industrial complex on the southwest corner of Moen and Larkin, we've had a lot of equipment that's spread out. Now, this is Larkin Avenue, just south of Interstate 80. And as you can see, our second alarm companies are staged right here up and down Larkin. So Larkin south of Interstate 80 is blocked off. That is where your staging is going to be. For those of you who are normally going home through this stretch here, that's not going to happen here for the next few hours as long as that fire continues to burn. So that's the southwest corner of Larkin and Moen. The fire continues to burn. It was very deep-seated and very intense when the first two companies got in here. There was a significant header, big black column of smoke there. So let's go ahead and read smoke together, shall we? We look for volume, velocity, color, and density. And your volume, well, obviously large. There's a lot that's involved in there. Your velocity, it's vigorous, it's pushing. There's a lot of heat energy involved here because there's a lot that's burning, and it's burning very hot. Your color, black. That's basically a indication of petroleum products that are burning, and a lot of incomplete combustion, that it is so hot that it's pushing those smoke products and the particulates away from the actual seat of the fire and the visible flame before it has a chance to burn. But smoke is fuel, so down close to the active flame column there, you could actually get some eruptions in that smoke column of flame. So watching for that as well. Density, it's very thick. It has been thick from the very beginning. Again, there's a lot of fuel to burn here. You got your fiberglass, your rubber, your diesel fuel, your solvents, all sorts of things that you can find in the truck service center. On top of this, you have these metal-clad buildings. So a metal building, it holds in a lot of heat, traps that in there, intensifies the fire, and allows it to spread laterally, especially when you're trying to rain down water from above. You really don't have the ventilation that you would with a wooden structure where the roof would burn off. Here, the roof just basically melts, it deforms, it falls in on itself, which traps a lot of pockets of fire in there. No reports of any injuries this afternoon, and that is good, but it's a very hot burning fire among metal buildings. So firefighters that are down on the ground with the hand lines getting pretty toasty down there. Nobody has been injured. Firefighters are okay. Everybody, we believe, has made it out of this building here. And once it gets cooled down hours from now, the Office of the State Fire Marshal will be out here to do a complete and comprehensive investigation. They'll be asking people that were working here what on earth happened. Was there anything specific that touched this off? And then again, how did it spread so readily throughout the building and throughout the inventory here? You see a lot of the bobtails down there that are burning. Those are truck tractors without trailers, and those are what, at least out in the open yard here, still burning very vigorously, because in order to try and get your master streams back there and even some of your hand lines, that's kind of a tall order with the wind that's going on out here. Wind predominantly from the north and west, and that's blowing the smoke to the southeast, which is good. It's away from any populated area of Joliet. This smoke could be seen for miles when it first started. We're going to knock that smoke visibility down quite a bit here as more fire streams get into operation. We're getting more water on it from elevated master stream there. and also some of the hand lines. You can see some of these trucks that are burning. For now, I'm Chris Habermill, wishing you a good afternoon, and we're watching this fire as it develops in our fire suppression operation in Rockdale. We're up to the second alarm. No injuries, but a lot of trucks are on fire at the Polar Service Center on the southwest corner of Moen and Larkin. Thank you for tuning into the live stream. Keep it here, and we will keep you up to date with how this firefight is coming along. Yeah. Okay, 90 seconds away. Bumper into the brake. Stand by. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Greg. All right, I did a bunch. I will continue with the narration. We're clear from the 5 till the top of the 6. We continue to stream, so I'm back on narration right now. All right, welcome back, folks. We've just been cleared from our 5 o'clock show, so I'm back here to narrate the live stream. This is what you're looking at, a large commercial building on fire just to the south of Interstate 80 and on the west side of Larkin Avenue and south of Moen. This is in Rockdale, just south of Joliet, and this is the Polar Service Center, this large truck maintenance facility, and one of the buildings was heavily damaged by fire. Basically, the entire contents of one wing of one of these buildings has been consumed by a very vigorous and fast-moving blaze. It broke out within the last hour and has been elevated to the second alarm level. So numerous fire companies have responded into Rockdale from the southwest suburbs surrounding here. So the mutual aid partners are all lined up on Larkin Avenue, which is closed south of Interstate 80. So what we're looking at there, you can see there are a lot of truck tractors on the outside, the business end of your semi-tractor trailers. And the visible things that are burning down underneath that smoke column where you see the visible flames, those are basically trucks down there. Those are your truck tractors that have caught fire. Basically the fiberglass cabs, the cloth or leather interiors. You've got some diesel fuel, and of course the tires have gone up. You've also got hydraulic fluid to deal with and other rubber hose lines, and all that contributes to a very hot fire in each one of these trucks. So you can see how much of a push coming out of the back of that bobtail, which is basically slang for a semi-tractor without its trailer. And a lot of new and used trucks were parked around here, and a lot of that inventory has been destroyed. What you're looking at there, basically, the diesel tanks are on fire. You've got hydro fluid that's on fire, tires that are on fire. Here comes some firefighters with a hand line. They're going to lead out here, kind of stretch to the back, see if they can get in upwind and kind of battle back to knock down that truck tractor that is on fire right now. One of the biggest issues here, and as you can see just coming into view at the top middle of the screen, our elevated master stream is pouring water down into this metal-clad building. Now this metal building with the metal exterior, unlike wooden buildings where you get good water into the seat of a fire when the roof burns off, here the roof doesn't burn off. All your steel bar trusses inside there basically just melt, warp, deform, fall, and it takes the structure in with it and it folds down on top of it and it holds that heat inside. So one of the most important things when your first two companies come in and your company officer is doing your 360 is they're looking for, basically, of course, what kind of a building is it? What kind of a structure are we dealing with? What kind of square footage are we dealing with? And this one was kind of a no-brainer, folks, because when the first two companies got here, you had lots of heavy, thick header could be seen all the way from downtown Chicago. That's the first inkling of trouble that we got in the helicopter. We were actually over the Stevenson and the Ryan, and we were heading south on the Ryan and could see that header as plain as day from downtown Chicago. So not as visible from the ground because of all the ground clutter, but for those of us up in the helicopter, you could actually see that for quite a distance. So hustled on down here, got here after the first company started laying lines and applying water here. They got the tower ladder in operation and started that elevated master stream pouring water down from above. So very early on, it was obvious that this building was self-venting. There was a lot of vehicles that were on fire outside. As far as inside, you had the fire chugging out of the actual building, consuming everything on the interior. So one of the things you're going to be doing is going to be reading smoke when you first get here. So you're looking at volume, velocity, color, density. The volume, obviously, large volume of smoke, so it's a large span building, a lot of things that are on fire in there, which tells you that it's going to be a long afternoon. Your velocity, very vigorous, very hot fire. It's pushing a lot of thick black smoke up in the air. In other words, the visible flame is actually so hot that it's pushing a lot of unburned product into the sky. That's why it's so black and chunky looking. That's your color. You got fiberglass, you got got your hydro fluid, you got your rubber and whatnot, and so it's pumping out a lot of thick black smoke. And your density, yeah, it's very thick. There's a lot of fuel to burn down there, and it's a very vigorous fire, so it's lofting a lot of that stuff into the sky here. So a very well-involved fire. When firefighters got here, we're getting a hand line now, some hand line action on the back of that, trying to cool that down, see if they can darken down that fire. And it's very tough once you get rubber and fiberglass and whatnot burning. And who knows, some magnesium could even be used in some of these engine blocks or some of the accessories there. So you put water and magnesium, you get big white sparks out of there, and that's even tougher to control. But right now, it looks like it's just going to be a pretty straightforward petroleum product type fire as they work to hose that down. Let's see if we can widen the camera angle out here just a little bit, give us a wide shot and overview of this. We are looking at it from right now east of the property, looking back toward the west. So our wind here, our relative wind, is coming out of the north and west and blowing the smoke column back toward the south and east. Now, down to the lower right, if we can widen it out, and Mark Wass, if we could dip the camera down, tilt down toward Larkin Avenue, and take a look at the mutual aid response here. You'll see that stretch throughout this industrial park. We've got a lot of large diameter hose lines, a lot of engine companies that are feeding those in a relay fashion there in order to keep your line pressure up to where it gets to the elevated master stream, because once it goes up that tower, you're also going to have friction loss over time, distance, and elevation. And you want to keep that water flowing as much as possible in order to project it out into the fire. So if we go down to the lower right, widen out just a little bit if we could, and tilt the camera down toward Larkin Avenue, you'll see a lot of our mutual aid companies that are lined up out there. So lower center right there, you see all those engines and the trucks that are lined up there. Those of you who would be normally coming home to this neck of the woods here, going through Rockdale, making maybe a little bit of a shortcut to get down towards Wilmington, Braidwood, or what have you, Larkin Avenue is closed south of I-80 and will be for an extended period as those second alarm companies are in staging there. So just keep that in mind. So that's right on the southwest corner of Larkin and Moen where your staging is at. So going back to the fire up by our friendly water tower there, just behind there, you can see we still have a very vigorous column of thick black smoke. There's still a lot of flames up inside there. We're actually getting flames up through a little bit of that smoke. Again, that's unburned products of combustion. There are a lot of particulate matter there that's in that smoke. And if you were to get up close to it, you would see it's kind of greasy. It's got a lot of little particulates that will settle out downrange as like black soot, black smudges. And smoke is fuel. So smoke is combustible. And sometimes we've actually seen some fire up through the smoke column there. But looks like a good application of water is starting to cool things down. The biggest issue here for firefighters as far as getting a good knock on this fire is that you've got this metal building that instead of any part of it actually burning off, it is actually melted, deformed, warped, if you will, pulled the roof structure in when those steel bar trusses that are holding up the roof actually started to deform and melt. It pulled the roof down on top there. So the weight of the actual roofing material just bent it down, and now you've got a whole bunch of really hot fire and all sorts of hot pockets of fire that are up underneath all of that steel. So that being the case, it's going to be a long battle trying to get all this stuff cooled down. So don't expect any real immediate resolution to this, although it looks as though they've made decent headway on keeping this from going any farther than the original building, or maybe a building next to it where this fire began. Unfortunately, there seemed to be a lot of inventory in there. There were a lot of trucks, maybe some trailers, other service materials and other chemicals that are in there, solvents, hydro fluid, maybe some diesel, extra tires and what have you, because it is a service and maintenance facility, and that stuff is readily burning. So a lot of combustible material here. The fire load was very high because once you get one thing going and you get it going really hot, the next rig is going to start to cook off, and then the rig next to it is going to start to go, and then pretty soon your entire interior of your structure is going down. So they're getting a good reach on there. We've got another tower ladder that is in operation here. Got our master stream that is moved a little bit closer now to the seat of the fire, and they're actually able to project over the top of the fire building and start to knock down some of the things that were parked outside in the yard here. There's going to be a lot of wreckage to sort through outside of witness testimony from people who may have been working here at the time. State fire marshals, investigators, and the local fire investigators here will be obviously asking a lot of questions as to what happened. How did it break out? How did it spread so quickly? Were there any kind of fire suppression efforts before the fire department actually got here? Did anybody deploy any fire extinguishers inside there? Was there any kind of a deluge system in any of the workstations in there? What exactly was the interior of this building looking like before the fire broke out? So we're going to continue to monitor the firefighting efforts. Looks like they're making some pretty good headway. The smoke column is starting to subside quite a bit now as we get later into the fire suppression effort here in Rockdale. I believe this is holding at the second alarm level. Haven't seen any other companies moving into this, into staging right now. And we're in the process of watching a successful fire suppression operation that's getting a handle on this. So keep it here. We will continue to stream. Going to take a quick size up here of my own to take a close look and see exactly what is downwind from this fire, as far as not so much the smoke, but as the fire suppression efforts get underway. One of the things you want to also consider, besides your smoke read and doing your 360, doing your size up on the structure, what kind of target hazards you have, what's your fire load, what's inside there, are there hazardous materials, all of those factors are going through the mind of the department chiefs, your command structure, coming in here and relaying from one command officer to another. This is what we've got, or basically the bag theory. Where has it been? Where is it at? And where is it going? It's been in this part of the building, it's at this part of the building, and spreading into this part of the building, and that's where it's going. So right now, where it's been has been through at least one, maybe two large span warehouse buildings, one much more heavily damaged than the other, although there's still a volume of fire in there, and we've got some hot spots that the companies still have to address. Where it's at is that you've got your tactics are in place here. Your strategy is the what are we doing? Strategy is let's put out the fire. What are your tactics? Those are the methods that you're using in order to achieve your strategic goal. So that is where your companies are deployed, where your hand lines, your master streams are. Where's your water supply coming from? Are they coming off of hydrants? Do you need to use porta tanks? Do you need to bring in water? Fortunately, this is a hydranted area, so we do have multiple large diameter hose lines that have been put into use coming off the hydrants, relay pumping to the tower in order to get the maximum volume of water on your fire. So do you have the BTUs or the GPMs to overcome the BTUs? Well, it looks like in this case you're winning now. Got a lot of this fire knocked down, but the building is a mess. Obviously, metal-clad buildings like this hold in a lot of heat. They don't self-vent as readily as a wooden structure would. Wooden structure beyond the ground, you wouldn't even recognize it. Here, you actually have the roof structure that's kind of melted down, sagged inside there, and it's pulled the outside walls in. So it was a very hot fire, very fast-moving fire, very well-involved fire, but it looks at this time getting a good handle on it. Even though it's a pleasant day for those of us who are in civilian clothes, if you put on your turnout gear and SCBA and you're up close and personal with a fire like this, it is going to be hot. It's going to wear on you, and you're going to be kind of gassed after a little while. And so that's why you go to the second alarm. Not everybody can be up close and personal with the fire, but they're going to be cycling the companies through here, getting fresh eyes, fresh hands on this, and taking your first two companies in here and pulling them back, putting them through rehab, letting them open up, take a breather, grab some water, do a little relax after working hard, and then come on back, go at it again. But that's what your mutual aid companies are for, and your mutual aid companies are always welcome. So you can always ring it to a higher alarm level and scale things back. It's always good to have more assets than you need, and then you can send some of the companies home once it's obvious that you are got things under control. So I'm Chris Habermill live over the scene in Rockdale, and we continue to have a fairly successful, okay, we'll call this successful, knock on this fire here We had a big, heavy, thick smoke column out here earlier, and now we're addressing hot spots throughout this building on one end of what is known as the Polar Service Center on the southwest corner of Larkin and Moen. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the live stream here. We will keep this picture up so you can follow along at home and see the firefighting efforts and how successful those are. And we will be back not only here streaming live with the latest information on this extra alarm fire in Rockdale, but also back at the top of our 6 o'clock, our regularly scheduled newscast coming up shortly. So we will be here and we will bring you all the live updates. Nobody has been injured. However, there's substantial property loss at one end of this building. Cause and origin still has yet to be determined. State Fire Marshal will be out here and going through this once that this fire is cooled down, knocked down, and the witness statements are taken. I'm Chris Habermill, CBS 2 News. Have a safe afternoon, and we will continue to be here monitoring with a picture. And from time to time, as information comes in, I'll be back with a little bit more narration on what's going on. But they finally do have a pop machine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Chopper to the base on F2, Greg. All right, we're going to need to go right off the top at 6. Mike is in fuel conserve mode, so we're continuing to circle here. Looks like companies are getting a really good knock on this fire now. $10-4, thank you. Yeah, as soon as I'm done, then we're going to land at Lewis and get fuel. Get some good conversion from smoke to steam now. You gotta screenshot that. Oh, I'm gonna have to look and see who that is. Oh yeah. Well, I'm pressing 1100, and then I'm pressing like pound 1100, then 1100 pound, and then this other guy who still didn't talk to me before trying to run me over with the forklift got there and got on the pad, and the door opened up and I was able to get through there. I don't know if they got a remote control on the forklift or what, but I was just glad that it was there because it rolled the electric gate back. Yeah, they actually ran it. Yeah. Oh yeah. It is just today. Yeah, they're all lined up just in case. Yeah, go back to the right to those tenders that were down there. Frankfurt, Lockport. And there's our tenders.